Greetings to everyone, my name is Syroyid, and in today's class I want to teach you how to write a piece in Lydian mode. So specifically we'll be starting a composition from scratch without any preconceived idea. Actually the time signature you're seeing might be different. And what we'll try to do is to think of a piece around this concept of Lydian scale. The Lydian scale is the one that appears on the scale of F. Something like that. And that scale will be the foundation block of the composition. It's going to be a short prelude for piano, but maybe in future videos we'll be covering orchestrations, and maybe the next step according to the development of orchestration is to do a string quartet. So once we'll have the string quartet, we'll continue with wind ensemble, brass and orchestra and so forth. So this is the first video of this format, and I would really appreciate receiving your feedback on the things that I'll be doing and also on the format itself, because it's interesting to me to know if this is useful for you and if you're learning through this sort of lecture format. So the first thing to do when we have a guideline like this, and let's make this piece short, so it's going to be like 1.5 minutes or maybe 2 minutes, is to define the character. So once you have the scale, which is Lydian, basically you're kind of limited in the colors you can use, but at the same time you have a lot of options. So you can do something humorous, something uplifting, it could be something of that sort. It can also be something more nostalgic. Right? And generally speaking, I would suggest to work on core basic emotions. So either it's going to be joy, anger, surprise, all of this sense of expectation, something comical, something more romantic. And without any preconceived idea, we'll try to work today on this mode and see what are the different possibilities that we can have, and probably pick one of them to write down a piece. But in future videos, we'll have to cover other different characters. So the first thing that I really like to do is to sit down and improvise for 1-2 minutes, just to have a rough understanding of what is my mood, musically speaking. And once I have that, we'll start working on all of the different steps. So the first thing that I'll probably put here, just to have this as a reference, is the title. It's going to be a Lydian Prelude. And we have this prelude. Also put the composer's name, composition, Syroyid. And I think we're ready to go. So here we already see two techniques. I'm moving around. I'm not staying always on F. I'm going from F to E flat. And I can be doing that all across different keys. So I can be going from F to A. Of course, playing like that, it might sound a little bit awkward, but if you're doing it in context, and even if we pick this sort of jazzy strike pattern, now, what do I do? And I'm moving around from all of these different keys. Now, if we would like to do something more nostalgic, probably I would stay longer on the key of F Lydian, and even consider, and this is something that I always like to do, to include the mixolydian note. So F naturally has these notes, but when I play with the mixolydian color, I introduce the E flat. Right, so I might get something like this. And already with that, we're having C minor. That mixolydian color. But since I don't want to really mix all of these notes right now, but just work cleanly on a mode itself, we'll pick the Lydian. And maybe we can try to do this. It's a beautiful idea because already it's a motif. It sounds like a triplet pickup, but I'm not sure what the time signature is going to be yet. So I need to imagine it. Da 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 dum pam pam dee da dun dun 1 2 3 1 2 3. I think it's a 3/4 with a triplet. So time signature, more options, 3/4 pickup. That's the first phrase. Two, three, din, din, tra, da. So it's a half note. I'm getting it lower, I think. I need to turn on probably a little bit the volume of the mixer. Yeah, that's better. And we can have this little mordent here. So that could be our first phrase. The tempo is 1 2 3 pam pam pam. Can feel like an andantino, allegretto, moderato, something in the middle. So let's put tempo. We're having it here. .120 is working fine. So I'll put here allegretto. Although now thinking about it, it really shouldn't feel so fast. So maybe it's closer to andantino, which is a walking pace, but slightly lighter. And I'll put in the left hand this chord. It goes to and now the interesting option comes because there's a zillion ways you can harmonize this. That would be very tonal. Clearly this chord seems to fit very nicely. You can see I'm not using triads all the time. Of course I have here a triad, but I'm trying to use these suspended sonorities, which are much more modern sounding. And also I don't have the need to really change the chord on every bar, so I could hold this for 2 bars. This is something that very often we've seen in student composers, that they're oftentimes just changing every single bar of the chord and trying to get a new chord every bar. Here there's no need, you can stay on this chord. And now we have 2 options. I would either continue that phrase a little bit more in the right hand and finish it, or I would give it to a second left hand voice and continue with a contrasting idea. Since I want to extend this more, I would probably continue improvising and see what's more natural. So option 1 would be Right, I'm sounding a little bit Phrygian there because I have the E. Also, something to notice is that when you're working with the Lydian mode, it becomes increasingly repetitive, or the color becomes increasingly predictable. So it's also interesting to explore that concept we had previously with the E flat, maybe moving to E flat Lydian. And then going back. But that would be option A. I don't seem to be finding a very suitable or contrasting idea. So let's try to think of moving it to the left hand. That could be something interesting to explore, actually, doing this repetition here. So we've got this. That could be a nice restatement of that, but with a different content. I'm doing D minor 7th, and I'm going to F major 7th. And now the mistake, I think, would be to just restate the very same chord we had earlier, or the same melody. So even if I want to repeat this, I would have to repeat it in a different way. And probably one of the easiest ways is to kind of state it higher. Right, and get it on that G dominant. So we have. And that's a melody that makes sense. Now, the texture itself, it's quite hollow, and it really depends on what we do next. Of course, if you write the entire piece just with this level of hollowness, it might start to sound increasingly boring. It's good to put some dynamics. This sounds like pianissimo to me. And I would increase a little bit the level of counterpoint before moving on. So let's play it a few times and think of what are some contrapunctual ideas we can include. That's interesting. That repetition seems a little bit too direct. What would happen if I would do it higher? That could be also a good choice, I think, here to do. So we get to have all of these repetitions. Yeah, and now I would play with that staccato concept. Maybe it could have a rest there. Right, so it could be a prolongated pedal point. Would sound like this, but it doesn't have the Lydian, so for the Lydian we would need to have the we would need to have probably the C sharp. Here clearly the mordent helps a lot, so I would include it. And if we now go with this, it's a little bit hard to play that. Yeah, we could move to F maybe. That would make it more Lydian. Now, I was thinking about this mordent being removed because it's very close to that other C. And I would even tie this so it's more hidden. So that would imply, I think, doing the phrase from here with thirds. You could have it all in thirds. But the second time in a different pattern. So I would move these octaves across, otherwise it's a little bit too repetitive, but still we could think of more contrast. So far we have like two phrases. I can divide them by double bars, both of which are 8 bars long. I'm now thinking of connecting better to that C, and maybe I could go with triplets. Something of that sort. Yeah, it works nice when I have some mordents. So we could have this little mordent underneath. And of course, the left hand is just one single F all throughout, so it would be nice to think of some more contrapunctual movement. It could be here. Either a scale right? Also, we could move all of this to a different key. Let's see how that would sound if I'm going to E flat. Or have the first phrase in F and the second one in E flat. Right, so those are different options. But for now, I think before embarking on any of these transpositions, the most important thing to decide is what is going to be the tonal plane of the piece overall. And if this is going to be an A section, maybe it could be an ABA inside of it. And we could first draft a little bit the first A section and then start working on the B contrasting material. I really feel like it should be first the triplet and then the eighth note. Yeah, I would rather not modulate still because we're really working on this F Lydian, and it's important to get the sonority of that. And maybe now we can modulate. And one very interesting way to do that, it's not to change the melody as a transposition, but to keep the same notes of the melody but change the mode. So in this technique, the melody is remaining the same, but the mode is different. So now the left hand, of course, needs to change accordingly. So we're in E flat Lydian. And what you might be wondering, why E flat and not another key? Well, generally speaking, when we're going lower, like that, and lowering the whole step down, we're in a way reducing this dramatic or tension that we might have. So by doing this, we're evening out a little bit that dissonance and making it smoother. Maybe I would even start with the E flat already in the bass. Right, let's kind of play once more from where we left it. Structure-wise, I always like to have a little bit the division of the bars accordingly, because otherwise it's easy to get lost within the form itself. So here we would have the first page music. There we go. So we're going back to F there, and here we would have something like this. By contrary motion, I could have the C above. And maybe here E flat major. That chord seems to fit well. I would probably find this chord more suitable. And I was thinking as I was playing this that it might be interesting to have an E flat there punctuated in the low end. So for that we would need to use bass clef probably. Or you could go in instead use 3 staffs. So when we work with 3 staffs, I usually create one below like that. Of course, give it the bass clef and then hide it from the first part where we don't need it. We would have something like this. Maybe here instead of staying on this key, we could technically modulate already to another key. To D flat. That would be D flat Lydian, right? In this case specifically, I think it's important for the sake of the rhythm to repeat the chord again. And I will try to do a sequence. So continuing with that same left hand, but now inverted. There's another chord that could work there. It's a 7th chord. Here I could do a counter melody. So far we have the ABA completed. We have the first A, the little B contrasting idea, in the recapitulation to A. We could limit our writing to just developing these ideas further one more time before introducing maybe a contrasting theme. So a very simple way to do this would be doing yet another presentation of this in E flat. So let's listen to how this is being played by Sibelius. We can continue there actually with that idea. I'll put here the pianissimo, even it's going to be hidden for that bass, it's played too loud. And here we could maybe work more with the ornaments and include a few more of these. What I'm noticing is actually that, of course, we're getting flexibility by doing this, but it's nicer to end on a C. So maybe you could do all triplets and then on a C. And probably repeating the B. You could introduce maybe a grace note here too. So it's yeah, I think that maybe instead of doing the bass, or if we do that, we need to have some sort of motion. That could be nice. So there are two options. One, I think, is keeping the right hand chords and doing the eighth notes here. Something like that. It might sound like this, played by Sibelius. Which I think works nicely. It requires a little bit of practice to get it properly played. would move to F probably instead of staying on E flat all the time. Here I've added a couple more notes. I think I've added the C there, and maybe here the F. With the F, we're gaining a little bit of a more mixolydian mode. Didn't start there though, sorry, it should be starting here. What would happen with a D flat? Yeah, we could do D flat. But probably I would suggest to do that when you have the A flat. And since that's not the case, I would just stick to F. Yeah, we're changing the melody a little bit, so I'm moving down and here I'm moving up. This is in order to give more contrast, and also it will flow more accordingly to the harmony. Here we have an F dominant 7th chord, so I have the A and F, and here this G works very nicely with the E flat. I could go in thirds. And that would lead us very nicely to E flat. From where we start again. So from now on, I think we don't really need that left bottom stuff. I can hide it. Maybe an octave would really do a really good work there. So this sounds a little bit hollow to me, and I was thinking maybe adding something. That could be actually the same phrase now in E flat. Of course, if we want further development, rather than repeating it exactly the same way, we could try to give it maybe to the left hand who hasn't played that much of a melody. And since we had these thirds already, yeah, that could be a possibility. So I would try to see how that would work. Basing it on the left hand, and then, of course, keeping now the treble clef. We don't need to move down. The first thing I would work on is the connector, because the connector here needs to lead properly. Now that I'm thinking of it, we can even have both hands doing this. That's where we are unable to play that at the same time, but let's then just do it in the left hand. I think the left hand is fine. Now the connector works nicer if I have this higher octave first, which would imply to have first high, then low, then high. So these notes are a little bit high. Let's see if we can move them down, because if we are keeping them there, they're not fully connected. I would play that with the right hand. And now we're here. A flat on different octaves. Now, since that's getting very high, I would not write it an octave above, but put the octave sign. And leave all of this with staccato. I'm needing an E flat below. Yeah, that trill is playable. I mean, usually trills in the left hand tend to be harder. That requires a little bit of practice too. If the piece turns out to be good, I'll record it separately and send you publish a recording of my music channel. Let's see. Let's see here. So that would be the same. Or just directly. And now probably this is the moment where if we go back to the beginning, which we can do, we might need to consider more variation because, well, let's see time-wise how much music we've written so far. It's 2 pages, but maybe it's not that much time. Transport. This is 40 seconds, so we're like halfway through. I'll put the sound on. We can notice clearly that Sibelius is misplaying this because it doesn't know that that has to be flat. So we'll put it with the flat there, and hopefully with that information it should be played properly. We would leave this here. So here we're going back to the original idea. And now we're sounding a lot like we're in F major, but maybe it can be B flat Lydian. And that would be one option. The other option clearly would be to do a B section that's more contrasting, because here clearly A it's rather calm, and we could have something lighter with a flow of 16th notes. So where would I do that? Well, probably after having this, which is starting here, we could have back to of course that's suspended, that could work, but I wouldn't just dare to to write a completely random B section, but base it around somehow on section A. So if section A has these thirds, it's not fully Lydian, it's just the major scale. It would be Lydian if it would be E flat. That could be a nice contrasting idea. So it's based on triplets, it's non-melodic, it has the rhythm that we have already somehow introduced, but now it's continuous, it's triplets. And it's much more pianistic in the sense of arpeggiated texture, not so contrapunctal or melodic. So that would be the way to write it. Now, as you can see in the music software, sometimes the triplets across the lines tend to be very awkwardly notated, so I need to adjust them a little bit and place a slur across. And here specifically I would write the pedal, because it, in the other case, I mean, people can use the pedal, people can not use it, it's their choice. But here, if you don't use it, it will sound very dry, and it's not exactly the sound we're looking for. So we would rather want to have this arpeggiated continuous sound. Now that I'm looking into it, probably I could write it like this, or we could even further have just the G. I really like that dissonant clash of the second. So I would put it there. Now the thing is, we're here. So probably it's very high. would be nicer not to do this connector in this way, but maybe to present it as a descending series of fifths. B flat. Right, we're gonna work on this like a period, so we have this opening and idea, the basic idea that's going to be continued with a continuation developed here. So something like that. Now all of this would be written above. And we don't need that B flat there. So we have two options. Either we stay on the C flat and repeat it again, which is a little bit, in my opinion, over repetitive, or we could do it in a different key, D flat for instance, which might give us a very interesting flavor. The only issue is that we need to remove a few accidentals that are doubled. Because of the crossing of the staff, it repeats the accidentals in Sibelius. I would move up. To an E flat. Yeah, something like that. And also when doing this, we could maybe include some more counterpoint in the left hand. Yeah, that could be written probably better with the right hand, like that. And we would need to reset the note spacing and the beam position. I think it's going to be better. Like that. Now you would zoom in and try to fix this slur. It seems not to be letting me to do that. So in those cases, I just put a slur on an empty space and draw it. That's probably one of the things that annoys me a little bit about the notation here. The complexity that is required just to write a slur crossing this. Right, and then we've got it wrong because it crossed to the next bar, so it shouldn't. It should be just here, there, bigger in the middle. That's fine. And now we could have here a little motif that does something like this. And I would include it also there, but in order to do this, I think I'll just write it, it's faster. Above. With the E flat. Fix that's not gonna let me do it again, so I have to do the slur this way. Then I can copy this and put it lower. Let's see how Sibelius plays this passage. So. And clearly, I mean, we can continue with this texture. It's not going to be wrong, but probably if we want to have some further direction in this section, I would suggest to apply one of the compositional techniques in which we're fragmenting the motif. So we could do a sequence. So we have to build up a little bit towards a little climax before returning back to the original statement, which is this. And we'll have that as a recapitulation, obviously. So before going there, we need to somehow sort this middle part. Yeah, I think it works very nicely to have it an octave above. Now, that implies rewriting this. More like that. And writing the right hand above separately. I'm playing basically with the thumb, the G and A, and the B flat is played with the second finger. And I don't want to really look at how I did it the first time, so it's a little bit freer. I've got that scale. I could do another mordant here, but it would need to have the flat. So Sibelius plays it properly. We need to have it here. Treble clef, and now bass here. I want to introduce some new element. I think that could be cool to have that B flat above. So it's not the same idea, but it's slightly clear. That clearly should be louder. And probably this could be already piano. It's better even to have the B flat here because it's more rhythmic rather than have it on that part. And probably that would be hanging. So the proper way to write this would be as a second part. And here to put, I guess, a B flat triplet that goes to another B flat that's above and it's being sustained. Or you could even remove the first one, have the rest, and not even show that. Yeah, something like this. Also here is nice to, I think, to play with the concept of an echo and a crescendo. And we could add a little bit of ornamentation into this phrase. Yeah, the second time it could have maybe this little ornament. Right, for that I need to turn off the magnetic layout. That seems to be working. Back to mezzo forte, piano forte. Or you can be bold with your choice and just play with forte, piano, forte. Maybe this one actually could be slightly softer. We have this echo. Echoing effect. For that I go to text, none, echo. And in the first part, actually, we didn't write any dynamics whatsoever, so it could be a nice moment to return back to that. Clearly, it's like we're building up towards this moment and then descending. So that could be a nice crescendo. And here I have another crescendo that closes there. So that could be even to some mezzo piano. Now this part is a contrasting one, so we can put piano, and I usually include indications like leggero. This could be espressivo, so it's more expressive. Leggero. Yeah, and since we have two repetitions, we can play with the echo effect and put it softer the second time. So this also allows us to play with contrasts. The first can be piano. Yeah, so I would maybe put piano, leggero, pianissimo, an echo, and then this is to gain surprise, a little bit louder, forte, mezzo forte, and then we go back to the pianissimo, espressivo. From that, right, so maybe the same dynamics. I don't see the need for doing something very different. Here it was towards that one, and then there, and that's pianissimo or piano, again leggero. And then we have that could be basically written as it is, or I could introduce maybe an E flat below. And then I would do the same thing on D flat or maybe in a different key, because D flat already sounded a lot. And you can do G major now. That's a minor third above. Oh no, a major third above. Yeah, it would sound louder. Let's see how that's played by Sibelius. And I would probably even develop this further and do it another major third above. So that would be more sequential. Even the B major could be here. So we're getting to some sort of culmination. And now E flat. And that could be the extended cadential process. So we're going here to the high note. Right? And that could take us back to that original section. Obviously, if you would like to develop further this section, you could do that. Clearly, for me now, right now, it sounds a little bit too short. Maybe I would even consider doing this a second time in a different key. Maybe already in G, and see how that would sound. That would allow us to have a little bit of a contrast. So we have or you could take it lower, because probably that's already growing too much. And if we were in E flat, D flat, I would continue with the descending series. We have B major and A major. So we had and that could work without the second phrase, so only the first one. Here, since there are a lot of accidentals, we're moving from 4 bars to 3. would include the D flat. Yeah, just one time each. That's like a contrasting phrase. And then back to the high range. I think that works fine, and then you can continue with the culmination. So it's going to be E flat twice. Now this E flat is in G. So just to summarize what we did, we start with the first phrase, that's E flat 4 bars, then D flat 4 bars, then a little commentary that goes lower. And after that, we have the loud phrase, which is, I guess, the forte here. It already combines the mixolydian with the Lydian because I'm doing the D flat, and I think that's much more interesting flavor than just the conventional one. Here I would put simile, so it continues in a similar way. And after that, we have the G major, well, the G Lydian. Which will look like that. And now we have to decide how to create the culmination, because clearly it's already in this loud state. I could do a fragmentation of that last bit probably. Which is this. And already in fortissimo because we're getting louder. So here we're already loud. Yeah, and in order to keep the tension more, I would need to get stuck on that last bit and repeat that one. Now it's a little bit hollow, obviously, because we're having not much harmonic support there. I could add this. And here we could add a little bit of the dominant seventh. By doing this, it's much more consistent with this constant tension. So 3 times that same bar. Clearly here I'm missing some treble clef for this. We have this. And from that, we could go probably to another median, chromatic median. So we have but instead of just doing random B major, which is, I mean, not so random because it's a culmination, I would try to introduce in this culmination maybe the first motive we had at the beginning. So we have this. So I need to listen more to the first motives. We had this. That could be a possible motive, but maybe we could do that sounds too Phrygian, major Phrygian, which is a little bit that Andalusian Spanish feel, and I would like to keep it more in the Lydian. So that could be possibly it. So I'm starting to see that that idea could be clearly used there. Now here we're going quite high, so it's not wrong actually to even use the octave sign, but it's still not that high that I think it's completely necessary. So because many of these notes can be deduced from the lower chords. Also, well, no, let's keep it as it is. So just with this. Here I put similar, but I now kind of think I would actually want to write the pedaling. And it's going to be the same for this phrase too. And now it's stuck there until here. And probably the fortissimo is going to happen here. I would really want to reserve the fortissimo for that place. So if I want to go here with something louder, I would just put più forte. Here we have the echoing, that's nice, the diminuendo. Maybe here we can put forte subito. We want this to be suddenly played. This probably requires the little crescendo diminuendo, right? So here we arrive to this moment. That's nicer than just to have random arpeggios going up. So we have a few arpeggios, but then we have some scales. . And that goes with this phrase now. Let me double check how this goes. Right, I have it. So it's E sharp, and probably this could go on thirds. And here we could have a pedal point, which is D sharp. That would be the same left hand, both bars. That probably repeated twice at the diminuendo, and that's already connecting us to the opening beginning. So in order to hear this, I would actually need to write that, probably hear some accents. Right, and let's listen to how Sibelius plays this. Actually, when doing this crescendo, here we'll do an emiola. Which would imply to just get stuck on these two chords and repeat them. So we have like this double feel of 2/4 inside the 3/4. That kind of works nicely. Right, and when these broad textures are repeated, I really like to have a little contrast in the second phrase. Like move higher. And probably for that, yeah, I would already move to the octave sign, as it's gonna get cleaner and easier to follow. Here actually we don't need all of this bass stuff, so I'll hide it. Or we could, in order to kind of potentiate the sectional division, do this exactly in the sectional change. Now I'm noticing I was using these double bars for sections, so I'll stay consistent. I'll add them here too. We need this one here, another one there, and a final one here, which is punctuating that. So we have this. Yeah, there, the left hand obviously can be changing and it can be doing all sorts of things. But even when you do that, it's nice to have a little bit of a gap. But obviously the music demands for that beat to be felt. So that would sound like this. You could even go to the D natural. And that could be a nice contrast from B to this G, F natural. So let's just write this faster. I like the D natural, so I'll try it. I mean, it might be a little bit exotic. But it's a change of mode, so we'll go to the Dorian mode. And it's quite easy once you have the rhythm just to input it with notes. Yeah, and here I want to have another connector. So it's going to be different. And then I have the triplets. Usually when this is written, I do it like that. And for the first pattern, we have this. That's the culmination already, so I could add here a little A sharp to make it a little bit more dissonant. Right, so this moves to the bass. The proper way to write it would be there, but I don't like how it's laid, so probably I'll try it this way. Yeah, and then swap the voices. Notation swap. And just have this as a second part. Yeah, actually, it's good that I have written like that because it gives me the possibility to do this little voice. And here I could repeat that B and then have the this is a bass clef. And that could be a beautiful way to do a recapitulation because we could have this motif now moving from one hand to the other. And after doing a couple of repetitions, go back to the pianissimo. Have this as a second part. Of course, all of that being very legato. And here do the recapitulation of the second theme first and then of the first one. Now, how many repetitions of that we would need? I would try to avoid being very symmetrical. But clearly we need probably 3 bars because 2 bars feels very short to me. So I would add an extra bar there. It's going to be just of the same material as the previous. That's already pianissimo. And we have that repetition here. So this is sounding like that. And probably, well, that was the sforzatissimo. And I was writing here an A sharp. B. And after that, we have the second theme first, and I think after that we'll do just the first one and end probably closer to the original texture, because the original texture was a little bit loose. So this works very nicely because you have the pedal point. Obviously an octave lower would do it a favor. We could move the trail around. I placed it here. Maybe here, instead of this place, have it first in the first note. And that could be actually an octave lower. I know there's a little overlap because you have the G in there, so you could make this note smaller so people just don't play it. So after that, we could have the recapitulation. And just have a little maybe cluster there with a suspended harmony. So this is con prima. And here I would like to put senza rit, because it's very common to do very big slowing down there, and that's not leggero. Well, that's the leggero, but we would like to have it pianissimo maybe this time. First pianissimo and then maybe piano, a little bit louder. Right, that would require a little bit of finer editing to place them properly. Yeah, I would actually lower the activity a little bit. Yeah, the G is too much, in my opinion. So I could put it maybe like this and have the arpeggio. And here I would actually ask for them to do a ritardando. So con prima, and maybe here the ritardando. Well, if we want it to be heard, probably we would need to put it this way. All right, I wanted it to be with the line ending sooner, but I cannot really see where does it end. Oh, we have here a double part. So for that, I think we should click on View Handles. There's this handle now. Because the ritardando might be on the next bar. That's why. That usually happens. So when that happens, you should put it here. Now we don't need to see any of that. Hide it. So, well, of course, here is what I wanted to do. So con prima. I'm not sure what's the length of the piece right now, so I'll double check, but probably this is the moment to write the ending or the... oh, we have it here, right there. It's 1 minute 30, so probably ideal because that's what I wanted to do. No, it's 1:40 already. So let's see how that's being played from here. that is, we don't need to hear that twice. And I would actually want to have the double octave here. The fortissimo goes for all parts. Maybe instead of this, we could just have the sforzando. Yeah, and that goes back to the beginning. I like it. So comprima is not playing it actually a tempo. So in that case, I just write it back and hide it. And that's fine. We could actually do it more cadential by removing some of these developing motifs like that one. So by doing this twice, we will achieve a more cadential feel. And we had a second phrase maybe there, which was this. So we'll play with that and maybe now introduce a little bit of this modal harmony. It doesn't seem to work. So I'll try to just do it 3 times and I think that's gonna work very nicely. And that would end the piece. Because we don't want to extend it too much further. This is a first draft, I would say. We could have some sort of, I mean, I could show you how to do a coda, a little coda there. Yeah, so that would be retaking a little bit back the motive of pam pam, the octaves, which I think is a very cool one. So I'm not sure if actually to do this, or it sounds better to me when I do the other one, which is the 2 octaves repeated like this. So that would imply to have this as a second part, I guess. And this is a first part, and have that tight. Yeah, it's actually after that, so it's the second part goes, and then we have the ending. So something basic, but I will always encourage in codas to look for something more innovative. So Obviously that's looking too high, so we'll just do the octavation as we did it last time. Here, that'll be 4 bars, 4 bars. That would be one progression. But I want to do something more unusual. Maybe. A mixolydian cadence. It's not fully unusual, but kind of has this sweet chord. And then the low F, which I would just put together with all of the other notes. And ask that to be arpeggiated. That first chord. So it will look like this. And that repeats. And I have a retardant on top of that. So maybe in the last bar, I could connect these more, a little bit like this. And all of this would be pianissimo espressivo. I would put it here. And diminuendo sempre. And here we could just go to the triple P. Quasi niente, which is almost nothing. And I think there we're getting our 2 minutes and a half. So let's listen to this piece. It's 5 pages. Of course, I'll try to record this Lydian Prelude afterwards. So we managed to write it today, which is November 30th, 2024. And I'll make sure to release it both on my music channel where I have my scores and also here on the Patreon page. So let's listen. Right, there we have it. I mean, I think it's playing it way too loud here, but probably I would want to have a few more chords at the end. Maybe instead of this F, actually to start with the E flat, and maybe instead of that one, do the D flat. That could actually sound very cool as an ending. So let's change those. And here I think we had that bar which was misplaced. So it will sound like this. Yeah, that sounds good. I like it. All right, so, well, thanks for joining this class. I hope you found this useful. It's been a different format, so I really look forward to your feedback. As you all know, you can reach out to me via email, Instagram, and also through Patreon. And on that last page on Patreon, you can really find different ways to contact with me for music composition tuition. We have group classes, we have individual classes, and also there is this format in which you send music to me and I provide a short video recording where I analyze your music and give you feedback on how to continue with the piece. So thanks for being here and see you next week. Happy composing. Bye-bye.